Welcome back. Today we're going to make some chow mein, and we're going to do it the way my mother did. But first, the difference between chow mein and Lomi. In Chinese, the word chow means to fry. So chow mein is fried noodles, and lo mein or lo means to stir. So lo mein are soft stirred noodles. So let's start first by making the noodles. But while I'm doing that, what I've done is I have preheated my oven to 500 degrees. And that's how my mother would fry the noodles. She would use the oven to make the noodles crispy. And that's the way we're going to do it. You can use oil in a wok to stir fry them till they're crispy, or you can do it this way. This is the way my mom did it. And I think it was because she had to make a lot of them. So we're going to make fresh noodles. I've got some flour here, and I'm using bread flour because bread flour has more protein in it than all-purpose flour. And the more protein in it, the firmer the noodle can be. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of something called consui, which is an alkali liquid which interacts with the gluten and actually makes it even firmer. So this is optional for these noodles, but if you want a really nice firm noodle very quickly, consui is the way to go. And you can get that in the Asian market at your local Asian store. There you go, just a teaspoon. You don't need a lot of that. It does turn the flour yellow, so you'll have that. And I'm also going to put in a teaspoon of salt for flavor. That also makes things a little bit firmer. And finally, an egg. And you'll notice that I haven't really measured a whole lot. It's about a cup of flour. But what I'm going to be looking for is a texture more than anything else. And that texture is going to be uncooked couscous. So let's get this rolling. And if it's too wet, it'll form a ball. And if it's too dry, what will happen is it will basically be a dust and it won't stick together. But what I want is small pellets. And that can happen pretty quickly. So let's take a look. So this is pretty good. See the small pellets? And when I push them together, they'll form a dough. But that dough will not stick to my fingers, which is exactly what I want. So let me, this is a little bit wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a tablespoon of flour. Get that a little bit drier because I want those noodles to be really firm. And we'll just pulse that. Put that to mix in. There we go. Ball that's kind of formed in there, which tells me it's a little bit wet. See, here's the ball right there. So that's going to be a little bit wet and sticky. Just break that up. And we'll just pulse that a couple more times. Nice. All right, little pellets. That's great. So it looks like it's uncooked couscous. It's not fat yet. So let's do this. I'm going to make some noodles. So I'm going to take maybe a handball size. And I'm going to use my pasta machine as a way to actually knead the dough. So I'm going to start at the widest setting. I'm going to make a little tube here. Flatten it out. Put that in. So it's a nice. So what's nice about using my Atlas is that I can just fold this in half a couple times. And those rollers put much more pressure on that dough than I could put on it kneading. So we'll just go right to the nice thin setting here. And that combination of the egg and the consommé and the high protein flour really does a quick job of turning that flour into the noodle dough. It's a pretty dry dough. So let's turn this, I'm going to make this into thin noodles. You can choose whether you want fat or thin. So put that right in. Put that right through. Nice noodles. So let's go over here. So the way I'm going to put these in the oven is I'm going to coat these lightly with some oil. This is avocado oil. I'm just going to give those a little stir, separate them. And we are going to put these right into the oven. And that oven is at 500 degrees, so it's pretty hot. So we're only going to leave them in there for a few minutes. There we go. I'll just give it another little spray here. All right, so we'll put them in the medium rack. And in 2 minutes, we will check that. While we're doing that, let's prepare a quick stir fry to go with our chow mein. So I'm going to move my machine out of the way. There we go. So let's make our ingredients here. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to cheat a little bit. I have a cutter here, which is great. So we'll have some mushrooms. Just put those in there. Just going to cube those right up. Some green beans. And what I'll do with those, I'll just break those in half so they'll fit into my cutter. In. You know, and you can use whatever vegetables you have. I've got some Brussels sprouts here. And I'm going to put in some jalapeno peppers. And what I've done here is I've just cored those. Took the seeds and the core out. And we'll just slice those babies up. There we go. So those will be pretty spicy. thing I'll do will be the carrots. And then I'm going to have to look in on my noodles. So there we go. All right, let's look in on our noodles. Multitasking here. Yeah. Now those have crisped right up. So we'll just give these a little bit of a stir. And I might put them in. So there they are. So they're starting to get crispy. Those are going to be really good. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these back in my 500-degree oven, but I'm going to shut the oven off so I don't lose track of it by the time we are ready. Those will be browned up. It'll be real chow mein. So let's shut that off. And let's crank up the heat a little bit on my wok. So a quick stir fry. Since this lesson isn't about stir fry, I'm not going to go into depth here, other than we'll put in a couple tablespoons of avocado oil, and we're going to put in some aromatics. So we'll put in some fresh ginger. Just kind of smash that. There's no need to peel it. There we go. So here's our ginger, sizzling away, smells good. Garlic, I generally like to put my ginger in first. Garlic tends to burn more easily. Put that in, that'll start browning up. So let's put in the vegetable that we want to cook the longest, will be our carrots. There we go. Smells great. Okay, we just want to make sure that the oil touches everything there. Whoops, one got away. Let's put in our Brussels sprouts next. A little more heat there. All right. Again, making sure that that little bit of oil gets on everything. All right. My carrots have started to brown up a little bit, which is great. And let's put in some of my green beans. We want to soften them up a little bit. Sizzling, you want to make sure you maintain that sizzling. Okay, let's put in some peppers to release some of that spiciness. So constantly stirring that, not adding any liquid. Stir frying is a dry process. You're going to add any liquids or sauces at the end. There we go. And let's put in our mushrooms. There we go. Let's take a look at, before we add our sauce, let's take a look at our noodles. and brown those are. Crispy. All right. So let's put these right into a bowl. Chow mein noodles, freshly made. And now let's put in our sauce and we will be ready. And we're going to use Hoisin sauce, and it's basically just a kind of a sweet and salty barbecue sauce. And we're going to put in probably about a quarter of a cup here. We'll just mix that right in. And once you've got that in, you can kill the heat, because essentially your stir frying process is done. All right. Make sure that's mixed in. Smells great. And we'll just put these right over your crispy noodles. And that sauce will give it a nice flavor. And the sauce will slightly soften the noodles, but they'll still be crunchy. There we go. So, it's pretty hot. But here's our crunchy noodles. With some veggies. Not bad. Much better than out of the can. So there you have it. Quick chow mein noodles. Some people just make the noodles and just eat them. Kind of like a snack, which is totally fine. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.